Oh, hey guys, how are you doing? So, I've got some good news, at least as far as I'm concerned. I finally got my mage up to level 60. And I'm slightly disappointed perhaps that I didn't create more content along the way, because there's so much stuff that mages go through which is almost like a sort of institution, you know, we'll do sort of the same quests and the same things. But nevertheless, I've really enjoyed leveling, and it's taken me about 14 days, 9 hours to get to level 60. That's total playtime, not... I sort of wish it was just 14 days, but yeah, 14 days, 9 hours total playtime. And I wanted to ask the question, is it worth it? So, I guess more broadly, World of Warcraft is a slightly strange hobby in the fact that it's like a part-time job. I mean, it really is. I mean, if you think about the average raid, it takes between 3.5 to 4 hours to do, let's say, an Axe Rammus run or something. And that's not even to complete it, that's just to do the first few bosses. And I know there are speedruns and stuff. But nevertheless, if you're looking at 2 to 3 raids a week, you're looking at 15 hours right there, considering it takes you that long. And on top of that, you've got to prepare for the raid, so you've got to get your pots and your materials and everything else. So again, it wouldn't surprise me if you would put in 20 hours a week just to do all the raids and everything else. Wanted to briefly touch on the philosophy of computer gaming and civilization in general. So, I come from the UK, as you can probably tell from my accent, and we're quite a sort of materialistic and scientific people, I think. And this kind of means we're not particularly religious or spiritual, even though a lot of people are. I would sort of say that this feeds into a feeling of emptiness, you know, a feeling like we don't quite know what to do with ourselves. And I think this is where computer games come in, because computer games to some extent answer the question about what you want to do. Obviously, computer games act as a sort of a Skinner box. You know, you're constantly getting a little dopamine rewards from completing quests, from getting money. But I think World of Warcraft and massively multiplayer online games are more than just the mechanisms behind the games, like the RNG, the fact that you're sort of rolling on items, there's sort of randomness. I think there's some real good friendship in World of Warcraft too, and I think putting 40 people together in a raid and sort of having them all chat to each other can really form some really close bonds, and I certainly feel that World of Warcraft has sort of helped me over the past year or two. It's been a bit of a difficult year, if I'm honest. Haven't had a job for most of the year. I mean, it's been difficult for other reasons too. A lot of people have found this. I'm sure you've all got our stories that we can share. Do leave your stories in the comments, guys, if you want to talk about it. The answer of what should I do with my life? I don't know what the answer to that is, but we can waste some time playing computer games for a bit, I think. Even, I don't know if it is a waste. Who knows? I mean, it's some kind of socialization. At a time when we can't really socialize outside, we can sort of socialize indoors, I guess, and people have. So, coming back to Mage, was it worth it leveling a Mage? I'm Herbing and an Alchemist, and I've leveled both of those up to 300, and there's the potential there to make some really good money, and you can also produce pots for your ult. I certainly produce most of the pots for my warrior, and I know that other people do the same. So this again really helps with preparing for raids and whatnot. Even though I think a lot of the time and energy that you spend getting herbs and pots together, you could probably make money more effectively as a warrior at level 60. Or even you could go mining or something and get some Arcanite. And that still sells pretty well for about 30 or 40 gold. It used to be 120, but it's fallen down in value a lot. But nevertheless, there's different ways of making money. But mages, I suppose, are quite good because you can actually get the materials yourself, and you can make quite a lot of money, like I said, occasionally. But you really need to study the market. Would I do it again? Oh yeah, definitely. I've loved leveling a mage. I love the fact that I can pick up a whole bunch of mobs and bring them all down. What I don't love is the fact that between pulls I probably need to spend about 25% of my time drinking. I don't mind this so much because sometimes I'll start drinking and I'll flip to a web page or something. But again, it's not really ideal, I suppose. A warrior, you can constantly bring down enemies, but a mage can bring down a larger number of enemies, but you've got the sort of downtime afterwards. Mages potentially have the highest damage in the game. I know Fury Warriors, which I also have, do a lot of damage, but I think it depends on where you are. But mages can do a heck of a lot of damage, especially fire mages. But they are glass cannons. So, still, nevertheless, if you're being attacked by a mob persistently, you're going to go down pretty quickly, if I'm honest, if you're not sort of mitigating that damage somehow. Another aspect which I don't really like about being a mage is the vending machine aspect. You know, you can go into a 20-man raid, for example, which I did the other day, and there were 6 or 7 people who all wanted food and water, so you just end up sitting there just manufacturing all this food and water. And of course I gave everyone a arcane brilliance, which costs money. It was a pretty good raid, but nevertheless it sort of sucks just giving everyone water, and a lot of the time they're not really thankful, but heck, a lot of people are thankful. But decursing can be quite difficult sometimes, so you have to just sit there decursing everyone, doing no damage whatsoever. Obviously it might save their lives, but nevertheless it's not the most fun aspect. Portals can actually be quite a good earner. So for example, today a random person came up to me and asked for a portal to the Undercity, and they gave me free gold for it, which is not bad. I like being a troll. I like the health regeneration. The berserking, which increases your attack speed by 10 to 30%, is quite good. I've actually got berserking macro to my frostbolt. And talking of frostbolt, oh my god, I haven't actually done Molten Core yet properly. I've done a short run in Molten Core, but for Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, a lot of the mobs are going to be immune to fire, so you just end up spamming frostbolt the whole time. And there's a bit more to it, but nevertheless it's one button rotation constantly, so that can get a bit boring. You might get the occasional polymorph and the occasional blink if you're really lucky. The other thing I don't like, I've already sort of touched on this, is the fact that you've got to drink all the time after every pull. So you're always drinking. It's kind of probably a good thing you can make for water. The other problem is, because there are a lot of mages in the game, it's a bit more difficult to get gear. So if, for example, you've got 8 mages in your guild, for example, all of them are going to be fighting over the same loot. Conversely, you might only have 2 druids, for example, so the druids are going to get loads of really decent loot, and the mages are going to be sort of almost begging for it. And the other thing is, I should imagine druids could also, or healing druids could actually use mage loot. It's now okay if you are a fire mage. You can do quite a lot of damage as a fire mage, but if you are a fire mage in Molten Core, then you can't use any fire spells because everything's immune to it, and in Blackwing Lair it's quite dodgy too. I mean, personally, what I would have done if I was Blizzard is I would have had a special ability that lets you use Fell Fire, and all it does is it makes your fire green, and it means that you can attack everything that's immune to fire. And I think that would have actually solved so many problems, and it would have allowed mages to use a lot more rotation, you know? What are my future plans for my mage? I really love doing Maridon, and I'd love to do some Maridon boosts in the future, potentially. They can be quite tricky, so I've sort of been learning to pull bigger and bigger mobs. I also want to master doing the Scarlet Monastery pulls, so I guess you can earn some really, really good money doing that sort of thing. And it's going to take a lot of practice still, even though I'm level 60. Quite frankly, my armour completely sucks. None of it is from anywhere remotely interesting. So I'm going to have to spend quite a lot of time getting my armour up to spec. I think the best way of doing that would be Zul'Gurub and AQ20 runs until my armor's a bit more decent, and then I can probably branch out and do a few Blackwing layers or something like that. Or heck, maybe I don't think I'm going to get into Naxxramas with an ult, to be honest, because for a start we already have a lot of mages, and my DPS warrior can on his day do a heck of a lot of damage too, so I kind of feel that I'm going to contribute far more through my DPS warrior, who I've been sort of working on for like a year and a half now since Classic came out. I quite like that I have options, really. I quite like that I can be a Fury warrior, or I can go and I can become a tank relatively easily with my warrior, and obviously mages can't tank particularly well. All in all, I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what you think, and I'll speak to you guys soon.